Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I am unboxing McIntosh's legendary 300 watt integrated amplifier, the MA9000. The predecessor, the MA8900, was reviewed as the best integrated amplifier in the world, bar none. And this better, more refined edition is even better again. It features modular digital to analog conversion, balanced inputs, single-ended input, circuit topography that most manufacturers would die to be able to achieve, and here we have it. In Christchurch, New Zealand, unboxing here for you to enjoy and for me to share some of the most impressive and iconic pieces of McIntosh with you today. Firstly, McIntosh's packaging. Despite the physical size of this amplifier being quite huge, the packaging is double that again. All of their export packaging features double boxing, and this particular monster of an amplifier, which is hugely heavy, features steel banding to ensure that it stays in one piece during shipping. The steel banding holds the outer box, and inside some more foam packaging, and of course the inner box, which you will see. So, I'm not going to lump this around too much. Take it for granted there is model and serial number information on all corners. White panel, you can see them here. Hang around for some photographs if you need to see them. Let's get into this thing. Firstly, the steel banding. Now you're going to have to cut that with something relatively substantial. Tin slips, all of those things will be okay, but side cutters and other things are just going to mash it. So you want something like this with the ability to pinch and cut. And if you are dragging the steel off like I am, you're going to have to reach and take the part that doesn't have the joint in it. Otherwise, dragging that underneath this very heavy box is going to be virtually impossible. Now, as far as lifting the lid, the main box, I'd recommend you get somebody to help you. The reason is that this is basically square, and so if you try and lift it off to one side, it's going to jam. So I'm going to have some help today. And it makes the process of lifting it much, much easier, and away it goes. Now, it reveals a couple of things. Firstly, the thickness and quality of the box itself, and the attention to detail that they've offered with everything. Look at the thickness of the foam that they have. This is just the top. Then we've got two end panels made from Coaxial foam, delineating probably the front and back of the amplifier. And then two very large side panel protection pieces. And then there's the amplifier itself. Now this is extremely heavy, so sliding that off and getting rid of the box, reveals the inner packaging that I mentioned earlier. Now opening that's relatively easy because it's much smaller now and it's very straightforward to get into. It's a slightly lighter weight cardboard, again stapled and all of those things as you would expect. And we start to look at the amplifier itself. Now the first thing we see as it slides off the top is McIntosh's comprehensive user manual. It's got every element, every question, every connection you could possibly have brilliantly and diligently mapped out. Every 12 volt trigger, every communication cable, every balanced input, everything you may ever need to know about this amplifier. How to set its inputs and outputs, how to turn things off, how to change the display. Everything is mapped out in a hugely comprehensive and brilliantly good quality user manual. There's another piece of, approximately an inch thick Coaxial foam. And opening the flaps, we have a large, good quality, long New Zealand IEC power cord. We've got McIntosh's remote control. Now this is separately packed with some bubble wrap, a couple of quick nicks gets us through the sellotape, And then it's got a double-sided sort of sellotape unit here. It reveals a couple of AAA batteries and the remote control itself. Now, the remote control is actually brilliantly well balanced. Once the batteries are in place, it actually fits really nicely in the hands. And hang around for some photographs. I'll show you some close-ups of that remote as well as other things. There is in the back corner McIntosh's almost signature key. Now this is for the back binding posts. Again, we'll show you some photographs of those. It enables the end user to tighten it up on bare wire or spades to achieve very, very good contact without, going beyond finger tightening, without damaging the metal of the unit. By the way, when you're finished, it makes a great keychain as well. Now, getting the unit off, typically we'd roll it at this point and discard the packaging. And at this point we reveal the fact that it is bolted into a piece of chipboard. Now these bolts are specific to 4 points within the amplifier to ensure that it cannot move in transit, and helps to ensure that this product, no matter what a carrier or freight company or international shipping company may do, it's going to end up to you in perfect condition. So removing these bolts are relatively simple. You can use a spanner, socket set, anything you might need. I'm going to over-engineer it. Use a drill. These actually go into 4 large predetermined mounting points on the amplifier to ensure that absolutely everything is held perfectly for transit. You can even see the use of a bezeled edge to ensure that it sits neatly and tidily in front of the front panel. Now, this is where you start to get an understanding of the scale of this unit. It is brutish in its size. It's genuinely heavy. Very, very heavy. It's difficult to maneuver anywhere. There we go. Bit of sellotape holding the oversized plastic bag. Came away freely. And the easiest at this point, as far as getting rid of the bag, is a 2-stage process. The first is sort of pull it down as far as you can and then rock the amplifier off onto one edge. Now, it's brilliantly built. So as far as applying all of this weight on one corner, doesn't worry it. As one of my viewers commented, you could pretty much put a house on one of these and it would still be fine. So looking at this beautiful amplifier for the first time, they've added a desiccant bag attached to the front here. It's actually tied with a knot, so I'm going to cheat. Just cut that away. Right, firstly, look at this. It's beautiful. The engineering behind it is astonishing. Of course, extremely heavy. It's got some of the most iconic looking features, front panels in our industry. Massive aluminium handles for the front. We've got the traditional and iconic McIntosh VU meters for each channel. Centrally we've got McIntosh's logo, and please hang around for some photographs. I'll turn this on. We can see the way it illuminates. We've got the model number, integrated amplifier, and beneath that the power guard lights. Now these are like a clipping light. McIntosh have real-time monitoring of its output to ensure that no speaker can be damaged by the amplifier. These clipping lights, of course, give us an indication of what's going on. Beneath the VU meters, we have a series of rotary encoders. The input is the most obvious, but pushing and holding it allows you to enter some of the setup associated with the McIntosh and negotiate or navigate through any number of different options within the amplifier. You can set up Theater direct bypass, for example. You can start turning off unused inputs. You can select CD being a coax digital input, not an analog, or a balanced as an alternative, all to maximize your ease of use. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-band equalization to match one of their reference preamps. The 8 bands associated with any number of abilities to control and tweak the sound if you require it. Of course, you can turn that off if you wish, but one of the things that has become apparent is that some of the old recorded records and other things like that might just want a little bit of tweak off the high pitch. Well, you can do that with this. Over to this side we've got the volume control, and again that is a rotary encoder, and it helps to adjust as part of the setup as you navigate through its menu via the on-screen display. Over this side we've got the standby power button, and you can factory reset the unit by pushing and holding this. You've got mute, and you've got equalizer on and off, a simple illumination light above it, and directly above that an infrared sensor. You've got a 2-line dot matrix display, and this allows us to watch volume, balance, other things like that change, and also input, etc. You've got user selectable outputs. These are marked 1 and 2. Now this is going to make more sense when we have a look at the back, and I'll refer back to it, but essentially its main amplification is only one of the things that you can select if you wish. This could become a very high-end preamp if you wish as well. The headphone output is by no means an afterthought. It features McIntosh's HDX, which is the ability to bleed sound from one channel of a headphone to the other and give you a really lovely room feel to it. In fact, many of McIntosh's integrated amplifiers, even DACs, have been reviewed extremely well as just headphone amplifiers, despite most manufacturers seeing a headphone out as just an afterthought. Rocking that forward, you get an understanding of the physics of this unit. Not only is it tall, it's also very, very deep. The first thing you see is some screen printed information about the model, and things like power consumption, wattage, total harmonic distortion, any number of things are measured here. You've got McIntosh's input power transformer and then a pair of output transformers. This gives McIntosh its signature sound. You've got McIntosh's Heatsinks with their new logo, and in the middle of that a basic circuit topography to let you know what's going on. The use of the analog circuits and digital circuits are also implied in here. Spinning it around again, the reminder of how deep this product is. And then looking at the back, that's where a little bit more of stuff happens on these units. Firstly, like most McIntosh amplifiers, they feature multiple tap outputs from the Autoformer output transformer. So you see a common or a minus, and then a 2, 4 and 8 ohm output. These are McIntosh's new signature binding posts, which allow for bare wire, banana plugs and spades to easily be added, and the tool that we saw there utilised to tighten things if required. This next section is relating to both service and control in and out, and that control relates to any number of different connected products like CD players, etc., all of which can be triggered on and off or controlled from a play stop pause perspective from the remote control for this amplifier. Beneath the service and control, we've got a couple of balanced inputs, and these are selectable via all of the units you would see. You've got a balanced output, and this is able to be selectable from the front display via the toggle switch. Above that balanced output is McIntosh's brand new feature, their modular design digital to analog converter. As we all expect our digital devices to start to be compliant with any number of different things, this modular design enables this amplifier to stand the test of time long after some new streaming service or some new format arrives that puts the pressure on the digital side of things. This module is already achieving rave reviews. It features an asynchronous USB, ability to run MQA, DSD, all sorts of things via the USB input. It features McIntosh MC T-Link. Now this is specific to their transports and CD players, allowing you to transfer digital out of an SACD transport, which is quite unique. This is a multi-pin cable and it's unique to McIntosh. Beside that we have two coax marked 1 and 2 and two optical also marked 1 and 2 User selectable for any of the inputs that the McIntosh amplifier has. Far side, a repeat of the outputs for the right hand channel. Looking at the bottom, we start to look at the fact that this unit actually has a twin chassis. This polished chrome chassis is associated with all of the analog stages and is quite separate as far as the design of its amplification, which sits on top. We see the boring bit, which of course is the IEC power input, and a fuse. We have fixed outputs and then the ability to remove McIntosh's bridging clips to turn this into a pre-power or add something like a theater processor or tape loop or something along those lines. There's a series of two analog inputs, all labelled, and a series of others that can be selectable, all labelled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. It's worth mentioning that McIntosh has not forgotten about the turntable users out there and has focused on both a moving magnet and dedicated moving coil phono preamp input, along with two ground binding posts for that purpose, all perfectly implemented and all adjustable via the on-screen display and the setup menu that we mentioned. So, there we have it. McIntosh's astonishing 300 watt, 300 watt integrated amplifier, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand.